Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. So I know that a couple content creators have kind of showcased their heroes, like all of the ones that are built. So a couple weeks ago, we had I'm not gonna name names, but we had one of the top guilds kind of like coming onto my Discord server and saying that, hey man, we noticed, you know, your guild's performance. Actually, multiple guilds, actually top guilds. You guys know who you are, so big shout out to you guys. You guys were really awesome, you know. I think, you know, sometimes people don't realize that people can be nice even though they're like super strong. But they came to our Discord and just like, you know, offered like partnerships and whatnot. And they noticed our guild as a whole. But obviously, you know, I showcased like a couple of our guildmates' accounts. And then, you know, they see me on YouTube. So they probably assume like, you know, just like everybody's like trained up. So I think the only reason why like they came and knew like if we're good or not is because like maybe I post some videos, maybe. Regardless, I do think that one of them reminded me that in their guild they have like gear checks. So I think they routinely check like everyone's gear to see if they're like up to date. And so that kind of stuff is like pretty inspiring, and I think everybody likes watching or looking at, you know, people's builds, especially if you're new. So I thought it was a time to like create this video where I am right now. I've been you know, practicing GVG a lot. If you guys actually follow me on YouTube and even on stream, you guys know that I do GVG quite a bit. Always like do like a 20 or 30 minute strategy pre-fight. So like I actually like think of like what's gonna happen, etc. And then of course, you know, it's one thing to know what's gonna happen. It's one thing to own the heroes, but of course it's another thing to actually have the gear to, you know, actually carry you forward and actually, you know, become victorious on the other end. So with all that said, I just thought that it would be a good time to kind of showcase my GVG heroes. So, you know, obviously I'm going to start off with Dizzy here, as you can see on screen. So that's my build there. I'm not 100% sure of how I'm going to kind of formulate this video, but you can see Togglehall's Ancient Book used there. If you have watched a couple of my strategies, I just believe she's a really good mage to use Togglehall's Ancient Book. Now, I do believe that in most cases it's a waste. Right now it's really used just for my Sez Soulburn and my Assassin Collie Soulburn. Everyone else doesn't really benefit from it. She sometimes benefits with it for herself if I needed like a first turn CR pushback with a debuff. But I would definitely say that, you know, Layla Violin rather, Layla Violin, Atisa Scepter, Abyssal Crown. Abyssal Crown. I've been calling it Abysmal Crown. But yeah, anyways, someone corrected me. Just realized if I call it Abysmal Crown, it's not a really bad artifact. Abyssal Crown on Dizzy is incredible. So there's a ton of ways to kind of build her, and I think I mentioned this when I was talking about her in my review. Just a ton of way to build her, and I know that generally people are kind of like running like a speed, like pretty speedy Dizzy. Mine's not that speedy. At 212 is not that good. I think 220 plus is like a must if you're champion or higher, if you're running a speed Dizzy though. But during the past couple weeks, actually, I've been seeing people kind of dial back the speed on Dizzy. The reason is I do think it's because the Destina cleanse on the defense team, or even on an offense team if you're running Dizzy on a defense. Kitty Clarissa cleanse, Dingo cleanse, even a Syria Tambourine combo, they cleanse, and generally they're about 200 speed. So usually, let's say if you run a stripper before Dizzy and you debuff them with Dizzy and you have high speed, like if Tambourine was slower, if Destina was slower, they would just kind of remove all the debuffs, and it kind of wastes Dizzy's potential. So what I've been seeing now is like people going like slower Dizzy, like about 170 speed. So it just kind of catches you off guard. Now, of course, you know, once you fight that kind of Dizzy, you can go back in if you're doing this in PvP or arena rather, and then you can, you know, bring a whole new team and just nuke her out like immediately with like a speed team or something. But in GVG that doesn't work, because GVG only get one shot. You have to report it with your guildmates and whatnot. So I've been seeing this kind of happen, and then people also running a counter dizzy with a Abyssal Crown, which is annoying as well. I've lost so many fights like that. Yeah, so right now I'm actually thinking if I should rebuild my Dizzy, but you can see there 100% effectiveness, 50% effect resistance, and again, like I said, her role mainly for me is the debuff, but mainly a Takoho Ancient Book user, but also to get those debuffs for like a second turn if I'm feeling like incoming damage. I would say I use her and Falcon O'Cleary in almost the same sense. Other than carrying the artifact, I use them in the sense of like kind of buying me some security in case I don't know the speed roll of enemies. And since this video is mainly talking about GVG or my GVG heroes, I use that kind of strategy. So if I go in and let's say my other guildmates hasn't attacked this tower I'm about to attack, and I don't have any info on them, I have no idea how fast they are, I have no idea how strong they are, I kind of run Dizzy in there just as a kind of security. So that's kind of how I use my Falcon O'Cleary as well. If you guys watch my GVG videos, you would know my strategy in that, and how I think about fights. Hopefully that those videos are helpful. I know that some of you commented on that. This is my Baiken. I've been using her quite a bit now, not as much in GVG because I feel that she needs a lot more setup, and because my Baiken is not like top tier speed. I'm building her as like a second turn or second round CR booster, and with kind of you know, nuking stats. Now I do know like a couple people who run like speed Baikens who have like just as good stats or even better damaging stats than mine. So obviously I can put a lot more love into her. But for how I'm running Baiken, which is generally like mixed together with my Syria Tambourine combo, for how I run my Baiken, I'm actually quite satisfied with her stats, except the 92% crit chance. That has failed me quite a bit, but it just, I don't have the, I'm gonna lose some stats to get that crit chance, but I think I'm willing to drop a bit of critical hit damage if I can get another 8% critical hit chance. But again, if you guys know, like gearing multiple heroes, especially for GVG, it's actually quite tough. It takes a lot of time, RNG, to craft and to drop, and then also just the time to actually run the hunts. I am using RNL. I never pulled Torn Sleeve, and the more I use Baiken on RNL, the more convinced I am that it is better than Torn Sleeve. Yes, people can argue Torn Sleeve is better because you can miss a hero and then they still have a bleed. You can nuke out with more confidence because you get an extra two turn bleed on a hero, so you can nuke out like for one turn like with more confidence. But again, it does depend on how you use her. All I know is that my RNL has made me win a couple fights that I couldn't win, just because of that luck. Of course the proc rate is lower, but RNL, of course, because she kind of works like Corinne, RNL can give her multiple turns, and that can really save you. Effectiveness 38. I don't think there's nothing to note here, but again, like I said, I've used her for GVG in some areas, but not that much. I do have attack imprint on both Dizzy and Baiken. I opted to pull for 2. If you guys watch those pull videos, you guys would know why. And here's my my Soumya. I do use her quite a bit in Arena and in GVG. She's absolutely insane to nuker. I do think that if you guys have Soumya and you don't have her built, definitely build her as one of your highest priorities. You have to kind of treat her like how you would use Luna, but for fire. So if you're facing like multiple earth heroes, actually if you guys watch my GVG videos, you guys will know that I take like A-Cart and Violet teams like head on because I have Soumya. Because Soumya is fire on Violet is an extra good counter. because if there's no Aureus or no Sea Armin on that team, and you land your S3 on Violet, and even S1 does quite a bit of damage if you have the greater attack buff on her. If you land on Violet, he's pretty much a goner. He's not gonna have that much defense. Yes, he can run like 15,000, 16,000 HP, but he's not gonna have the defense like stats to make him beefy enough to tank Soumya. And keep in mind that Soumya does have a 50% ignore defense on her S3. So Soumya, and being fire, when he does counter, on the off chance that you do miss, when he does counter, there's a high possibility for him to miss your Soumya too. So it's really good to have her built. I really love Soumya. I actually use her a lot in, like I said, in Arena, GVG. With my Syria Tambourine combo, she really helps too, because what she could do is, you know, just go straight for the greater attack buff and the soul burn S3, especially if you have Tambourine and Syria, because both the Syria and Tambourine, when combo with Soumya, have 2 turns, right? So Assyria go S2 onto Tambourine, then S3. That's 2 turns. So that's multiple souls there. And then Tambourine goes S3 and then S2 to pump up the CR, or even if the S1, if you want to do the dual attack. But you do get 2 turns as well. And then Soumya does the S2 greater attack buff into the S3. That's another 2 turns as well. You're generally, even just with 3 heroes there, you have enough souls to be able to do the soul burn, and you could take down someone like nasty like Ruel, or something something that would really hinder your progress. So anyways, that's where my view on Soumya is. I do have a 10% more damage output on the S3. I'm not convinced that I need to upgrade it, to be honest. The S2 I actually didn't use, and I talked to one of my friends, Kyle, so one of my guildmates as well. I think he's actually invested in S2, and I think you're still on stream, so you can comment on that to confirm. I think he's actually invested in S2, but he told me that you don't really need it. Like, either you're gonna wait for this to come back so you could do a dual nuke, or you're not gonna really miss that 1 turn, because the S1 still does a pretty high amount of damage. Red Ruby says I have. Did you upgrade the S1 as well? I think you did, right? Like a +5 or something. Anyways, Red Ruby has or Kyle, giving both your names. Kyle has a really strong Soumya. I think it's near 100% crit chance, 260 crit damage, and 4,000 attack. So in all aspects, and I think it faster speed than mine too. In all aspects, it's stronger than my Soumya. My Soumya does have a pretty good, pretty decent substats, so really high defense and health. That's actually saved me quite a bit. So that's what I mean. Like, mine is built sort of like Luna, because Luna has that kind of like the passive where she can kind of go bruisery. But my Soumya has that stats like right there, hands down. Yeah, your S1 is +5. Nice. Drunken Mastery says, can I see your Ken, please? You're jumping the gun, man. I will show it. I'm actually going to show my Malagora investments for all my heroes, if I remember. My Baiken is this right now. I do think, actually, if you're using Baiken seriously, hopefully you're not running into like people who can just keep up immunity all the time. That's not where you take Baiken. That's where you like take like someone like Yuffie, if you have her. QQ, I don't have her. I want Yuffie though. I do want her. But if you're taking for like a Sea Armin fight, Angelica fight, I would kind of be careful, weary of using Baiken. Of course, she really needs her bleeds to really shine. Her damage mods itself is not that high, but otherwise I was going to say, if you're facing people with not high resistance and immunity, I would definitely invest in the S1 to +4 as well. Keep in mind that it becomes a what, 60, so 70% chance? 70% now, 80% chance here, and then of course to do the +4 on the CR boost on this one. I would say that you probably won't need the 15% damage increase though. And then Dizzy is pretty self-explanatory. I don't think she needs to go beyond this unless you're making her a cleaver. Also I have seen a lot of cleaver Dizzy. It's pretty annoying. Of course I have my trusty DN here. Lowered her effect resistance because I had to give her give my kitty Clarissa, which I think is more important with high effect resist. Kitty Clarissa, my effect resist boot, so I've been giving DN this right now. Again, the reason why she has high effect resistance is because I do believe that she has it in her awakening as well. Let me just double check to confirm that. Now obviously, yeah, 12%, I think it's just a 12. Oh, 18, so 18% effect resistance. So you want to really play on the hero's strengths. I will reiterate that, you know, probably throughout multiple videos, but you want to play on your hero's strengths because there's a reason for their build. I do need a higher effect resistance ring here, but this has 10 speed and it's just too good to pass up. 60% here with the 7 speed, 27% defense. My DN is relatively beefy. I think I could use a better helmet here. 22% defense, 14% health, and a 20% health here and a 10% speed. DN, obviously she's limited, so I'm not going to talk about her too long, just because, you know, people won't have her to build her. But yeah, have her invested here with Rod. I think that her best build for me is Rod. If I bring DN, I'm generally running like Crow, F Maya, something like that. So because they already have high HP, Rod does more heal, and because if you do know how DN works, and hopefully she does return in the future, long-awaited future, I suppose, because she's a limited hero, but so people can actually get her. I think that even later down the line, even with the meta shifting, she'd still be really good, just because even if you're not using her as a healer, she has a 3-turn attack buff. I don't think anyone has a 3-turn attack buff. But she could pretty much upkeep it as long as the rest of your team is slower than her. She can pretty much infinitely keep that attack buff up. Or people who don't have 2 turns. So like for Baiken, for example, the 3-turn attack buff would go away on Baiken really quick because she could have double turns. Just following up on the guild chat. I'm sorry, on the stream chat a bit. Anyways, this is my Violet. So some people have asked me recently, like, do you have your Violet built? And I'm like, yes, he's built, but you guys hardly see me use him. I actually used him on a previous GVG, and even in the GVG video, I'm like, well, I haven't used Violet in so long. You can see I don't have that much love put into him. You can see a 71 weapon. This thing, he has a full on lifesteal set, which you could benefit from a crit set, to be honest. But you can see how little attention I pay to him. Really, for me, again, I know like sort of what I'm doing for my Violet, and for my Violet, it's really to counter like a certain amount of heroes. So like for example, Judge Kisei, which is exactly what I did on the recent GVG video. But outside of Judge Kisei, I hardly use him. I do have a Moonlight Dreamblade. This is probably the best artifact for Violet. He already has an insane passive that could grant him a 30% evasion. You really want to scale that up, and every time someone misses him, regardless of the type of miss, he's going to get his attack buff up with this for 1 turn. So everyone should know how to build Violet. I actually recently ran into a Violet with a Violet Talisman. I was kind of confused because I recently pulled it and I read this description. I'm like, I don't know if that's good at all. Like, I don't think that's good at all. Anyways, and generally people pair him with a card for the extra evasion passive. So Violet is pretty scary if built properly. As you can see, again, mine's not invested whatsoever. If they are invested, though, you gotta be fearful of them because he can do quite a bit of damage. His mods are quite insane, especially if his focus gauge is high. But again, like I said, I haven't really focused on him. Maybe one day, if I'm mass like farming Banshee, I will look into getting some like replacement gear for him. But as for now, that's what he looks like. It's weird that I 6-star awakened him. Yeah. And then here's my Bellona. I kind of rebuilt her. She used to be running crit destruction set. So for higher crit damage, I was about a 220 crit damage, but that was when she was like, you know, very, very, very relevant and really broken for the Abyss runs. And then from Abyss 80 downwards to Abyss 90, I just stopped using Bellona because we ran into a lot of fire heroes, and obviously she has a chance of missing, you know, and then not proccing your defense buff, and if you miss, the HP damage isn't too high. So I kind of like removed her destruction set, gave her a speed set, because I felt that this was more usable in GVG, and so if I used her for GVG, my whole thing would be pretty much just to do the defense breaks. I've reverted back to Rosa just to get more hits on, so she can proc her defense break more often. But originally I was running Bloodstone for her for a really long time. But my Bloodstone was really low level, and because my damage output is so low, the attack mixed with the crit damage is so low, I just didn't feel that Bloodstone was really any good at all. But you can see that I haven't put like the best foot forward for her. A 35 speed boot, haven't even got her a 40 speed. But that's what she's at right now. Her HP is actually, I'm surprised her HP is still not really high, even though I have like pretty decent health substats. I see like 12k HP Bellonas in GVG a lot, and I'm just like, are they running like a health ring? Because it doesn't make sense to me. I actually have pretty decent beefy substats. Actually never mind. I'm missing some health. Never mind. I thought I had like health and everything. I'm like, why is it only 9.8k? Yeah, if you're building Bellona, I would say because again, you know, focus on their strength. And Bellona, her main rule is definitely I would say a defense breaker is her main rule. I would say actually getting her to 6-star awaken is actually worth it if you really like using Bellona. I've just kind of seen myself not use her as much in GVG just because of the heroes I run into. I kind of don't see her used as much, or maybe it's just me. I kind of go with trend, like what I feel like. So like you'll see in my GVG videos, I shift teams quite a bit just because I build new heroes and I want to try them out. I only invested in her as 3 for the 80% defense break there. But it's definitely necessary if you are running Bellona. If you are, you know, using her, like you have like high damage stats, I would definitely say that the S2 is actually pretty worth it too. Just because the more enemies on the map, the more damage you do, and it's actually quite a bit of damage. So you can consider that. But yeah, other than that, I would say just focus on the S3. This is my crow. I kind of showed this on my previous video talking about the top five ice heroes. So Jagan's picks. This is my crow. Again, I have to say that he's one of my major go-tos. MVP. Rare Ruby says your Bellona is over 10k HP. Yeah, I mean generally, Bellona has really high HP base stats, so I don't know why mine's still so low. I'll have to work on that. I don't know exactly what my build I want her to be though. So it seems that for my Bellona at least, so this is just a small discussion. For my Bellona, I think I'm going for like trying to go for obviously higher speed, but I think I'm gonna go for a tanky defense breaker instead of a damage dealer, so a cleave Bellona. I think that's what I'm kind of aiming for here, but I'll probably have to look into better gear. Yeah, so anyways, Carl is my like MVP. I love him. He's absolutely fundamental. In the previous video, I mentioned that there was like an interview and a breakdown on like Ambition, the number one guild, and their defense teams and what kind of like percentages their guildmates run, like which heroes and which team comps. And Crow came up quite a bit. Crow and Ken came up quite a bit for their defense team. And so it kind of you know, it kind of made me feel kind of more secure, like, oh, okay, good, you know, like if the top guild is using Crow, then me using Crow isn't that bad, right? You know, you always have that curiosity, just like, like, should I be running this hero? But you know, if Ambition runs them, and then myself, of course, like if you guys watch my GVG series, like Crow comes up quite a bit, and you know, I'm always like S3 for him and Maya, man. Those are the two S3s I always get the most excited about. But yeah, so these are the stats right now, and I talked about this. I don't know if I want to invest in the S3. If I really I actually see a lot of use for him, that's the thing. So I'm kind of torn, but I don't think so. I think I'm gonna wait a bit. With some new heroes dropping, all the time, you gotta be really smart about your Mola investments. This for the turn cooldown. The defense buff is extremely good, and then you get a 40% CR pushback while chasing that 1 turn cooldown, so you definitely have to get it. A 65% provoke chance because it was the cheapest one. Next one is +5, and I think that's a bit more. You get a 10% extra provoke chance. I don't think it's not necessary here. Actually, if you check my stats, I really like where he's sitting right now. The only piece that I think I can improve on him would really be maybe his boot. So these are his substats. I know I'm not doing this for every single hero. This was really good. This is actually an labyrinth helmet, so if you're new, you can definitely get this labyrinth helmet. I do know that a couple people got some really salty rolls on it, so some people don't even run this helmet anymore, but this one rolled like really good for my crowd here. And 20,000 HP is like kind of where you want to be at. Now there is strategy of running a faster crowd with lower health so that he can proc his S3 quicker. And because he has faster speed, you might be able to get the S3 on like maybe like let's say I don't know what you would run, maybe a Soumya. Let's say if Soumya has like 8,000 HP or something, boom, Soumya's out, right? Something like that. I don't know. It depends how you want to build it. This is pretty good too. This is Arena Season 1 gear. So if you're a new player, you can't get this anymore. But this rolled pretty well again. Like all the substats are good for Crow. Effect resistance, effectiveness, defense, health. This necklace was a free one that we got I think a couple months ago in one of the events. 50% health, but really good stats all around for my Crow. Didn't roll anything on crit chance, so it was like perfect for him. 5 speed, 11 defense, 24% effectiveness. This ring was awesome as well. I remember I was doing this, dropped from Wyvern. I showed my my Discord community, and they're like, I hope you roll some bad stats. People always trying to do that. Wait, what? Oh, Ruby's like, just pull ML Cecilia, get 100% provoke. Lol. Yeah, true. Yeah, don't invest in cross provoke. Yeah. 7 speed, 16 defense, 10% effect resist. So at the end of the day, I think this boot is probably the only thing I'm going to look for a replacement on. 2 substats are not necessary on Crow. 9% attack, well, yes, all his skills, of course, scale a bit from attack, but you're not going to really use him as a damage dealer. So I think if I got, a 40 speed with health, defense, effect resistance, and effectiveness, man, that'd be gold, and I would be sold on it. I would definitely use that. Oh, of course on a speed set, but what's the likelihood of that? Anyways, Tambourine. Tambourine I actually don't use a lot in GVG. I do use on a really off occasions if I think that like an Syria Tambourine combo could work. But actually, I was talking to my my brother well, the guys on stream and in my guild know who he is. I was talking to him, and I was telling him to build up Tambourine. So his Tambourine, so Puyang gets a shout out. His Tambourine is at 5-star. So Real Ruby would be like, Bad Still would be like, it's at 5-star. He hasn't built her because he says that he doesn't know where to use her. And I'm like, you have to build her. Another way I use Tambourine is actually with bait tactics. So sometimes if I'm facing a team and I know that maybe I can't beat them in a speed roll, I kind of like default into baiting them into an anti-element. So if let's say it's like Violet, Assassin Cartuja, I don't know who would the last one be. I don't know, maybe Destina or something. I run like F Maya and 2 fire heroes, but to sustain the damage from Violet and a card going into F Maya, I still need a healer. Now I don't have a fire, a Katie's or a Kate's built. So Tambourine is as good as any healer. She has the same heal mods as Destina, so technically she's just as good as Destina if you were going to run Destina as a main healer. But the thing is, if with Tambourine, even if I run, let's say in the GVG comp, F Maya, Tambourine, and let's say Soumya, okay, Tambourine has like really good heals, and at the end of the day, even if you don't have her cooldown reduced from a Series S2, you'll be able to use her S3 eventually. Right, it's 4 turns, I believe, because it's a 8 turn, but -1 turn every time you do S1 or S2. if you have this enhanced, you have to enhance the skill though to be able to do it in 4 turns. Otherwise, it's 5 turns by default. She'll be able to do it, and then she full heals herself, and then does you know, like CR boost, attack buffs, full cleanse on the team. Really good all around. So I think that she's definitely worth it. I actually invested quite a bit into here, but I will continue investing in this until I see kind of like my heroes all kind of peter out. And what I mean is, like, when you're building multiple heroes, you hopefully, I know it depends on your playstyle, but for me, I don't like dive into one hero right away. I dive into the skills that I will be using immediately, and then I kind of like, you know, jump back and forth on heroes to like make like small improvements until everybody is like at a satisfactory level for me. This weapon needs to go. This needs to go. This needs to get a better boost. As you can see, my speed is actually not high. Tambourine, ideally you want 200 speed, about the same as DN. 200 speed I think is good enough. Any faster, you run into some difficulty when facing now the current Dizzy meta. Like I was saying that people are running slower Dizzies, so you don't want to use her S3 before Dizzy gets her S3 off. You want to full cleanse that Dizzy's S3. But in other circumstances, I don't think you need to be any faster than 220, unless you can ensure the nuke can kill on Dizzy though, or any of those really annoying heroes. This is my Luna. I've showcased her over and over. I know people ask about, hey, what's your Luna build? The damage is pretty good. Again, I'm kind of like falling behind. Even some of my guildmates right now, they've rebuilt their Lunas because it's been a couple months since Luna's limited banner was released or re-released for global and other servers. But I don't like mine is kind of falling back. She's no longer like the strongest one I have, or sorry, they're no longer the strongest Luna or by any means. So like my stats are actually really bad for her. I do need a better ring. This is a 40% attack. With a 60% attack, I think she can get 3,500, and then multiply that with her passive up to 27% for me. That can make a very big difference. But the thing is, I don't want to abandon lifesteal set yet. Almost every day I'm thinking like I'm gonna abandon lifesteal set, but then in a GVG fight or in a PvP or an arena fight, her lifesteal set actually comes in handy. I siphon back all the HP using her S3 or enough if I get a lucky S1 proc with the multiple hits. Her speed is not the highest, but you know, if you do know your Abyss sets, they do come with pretty good speed substats, and some of my pieces actually rolled some speed as well. So it's kind of hard for me to kind of abandon her. I'm kind of looking for a replacement on her armor or her helmet. Now her helmet does have a 21% attack, but for me, I have this armor with 12 speed and 6% crit chance. If I have a pretty decent like helmet replacement, I would actually replace that armor on Violet there and just give it to her. So continue to complete the lifesteal set, but just to get a bit better stats, like more speed, etc. So this is 11 total. So it's just I have to find the right pieces. But anyways, she's still a kind of a work in progress. Recently, I started realizing I think I should actually max out these skills. A 3% increase in attack and critical hit chance, with for me is really good because I can get finally 50% higher crit chance, because the 47 is not that good here. This is the reason why I run Hellcutter. It works fine and dandy in arena, but it doesn't work as well in GVG, because GVG you're losing two heroes to go, so the stack sometimes doesn't get it. So sometimes I don't even get my crit. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Madozin's like, come on, Dragon, did you not farm her ring already? Yeah, no, because yesterday's stream, we were talking about the ring, and today, yeah, you expected me to farm it in one day, bruh? Should I use speed boots on C-Dom or attack? I would use attack. Feasel fantasy. I would use attack boots. This is my Ken. I kind of changed him since my Ken kind of showcase video, and yes, I'm beginning to invest in him. So for those of you guys who are like, whoa man, this Ken skills not enhanced, can't take your video seriously. Yeah, you guys can sit back. I'm gonna get it one day. I replaced his helmet since then, and he's dropped in a bit of health. But he's gained in effectiveness, and he's lost a bit of attack. But generally, like this is pretty decent. The crit chance is a bit too low though. I would definitely suggest that if you are building Ken, get him to 70% at least crit chance or higher. I mean 70% is decent enough if you are facing, let's say, an Earth hero. You can get that crit chance up pretty high because you get that extra 15% crit chance on with elemental advantage. Crit damage is too low, but as you can see, I'm not using him really for a damage dealer. For me, when I did my test, I do think that he does enough damage the way he is with high health. But generally, I use him as my fire tank. You know, it could be surprising for some people. While his defense is pretty low, is only at 829, his health does kind of make up for almost anything that can do a one-shot kill. So like tanking Luna's S3, he would be able to do it with about like 25% health left, which is not bad. But this is just where I feel that I'm using him mainly. Mainly a fire tank. I don't have Cecilia, and I'm not willing to build a Maya, a regular Maya. But anyways, this is my Ken here, and I think that's all I want to talk about. This is my Sez. So recently, I've kind of like jumped onto the train of actually using the Sez cleave comp. This is a quickly built Sez. I have 4 pieces of gear here, so all my attacking set are actually gear that I've gotten like really early in game. If you guys actually are you know, like old players, you would recognize this 41 helmet actually. What was this, a labyrinth one? I think it was a labyrinth one. I have 2 of these for some reason. Actually, I'm not quite sure. It might not be a labyrinth one. This one I kept for a really long time. I rolled a 24% attack, and on a Sez cleave says you want to get as high as attack as possible, but of course mix with enough critical hit chance and critical hit damage. Now I am running him at a 48% critical hit chance. Because I buff him with Tywin. I buff him with Tywin for the attack buff and the critical hit chance buff. But otherwise, these are the rest of the stats here. Again, you can see a lot of speed substats I rolled on this. This is obviously not on purpose here. But again, I gave him this because I needed the crit damage. I need that initial kill on the S3 in order to kill off someone, ensure the kill, and to be able to do my cleave, the S3 finish. These are actually quite invested in. I invested in him really early on because he was my first 5-star hero. He was my really technically first like decent damage dealer. And I kind of ungeared him for months because I just never used him until now. So I don't know if I get a proper Sez cleave comp team, I might invest in his S3 to the max. But until then, I'll probably wait. What I mean by that is I don't have auxiliary lots, in which I do think that he's vital, absolutely vital for a Sez cleave comp, more so than Tywin. But of course, if I don't run Tywin, I would have to look at getting more critical hit chance. Wind Rider on him, of course, if you want to use that that kind of Sez. Charles, my man. So Charles is my main guy. As you can see, he's a rep hero, so he's on my avatar. Swifty in here, he says, what's up man, I watch your YouTube videos often. Hey man, I'm gonna give you a shout out on this stream recording. We're recording a video for YouTube, so now mom, I'm on YouTube. You're popular now, you're famous. So this is my Charles. I'm kind of now known for my Charles moan on in my guild. I never actually really understood why that's a moan. All I say is like, come on S2 proc, yes. That's basically what I do. But basically Charles is really cool because I have him on counter set. I have him with Elber's Ritual Sword. When he does like counter, it's really cool And then when he procs his S2 from his S1, because there's a certain chance for you to actually proc the S2 after you do the S1, it's really good, man. It feels good, and sometimes you can wipe out an enemy that way. Sometimes I fear going against Charles teams just because I know that Charles brings like a punch, like he's pretty powerful. The only investment I've actually put into him is his S2 though, for the effect chance. I don't think that unless you're using him as like an actual damage dealer, like speedy cleaver, I don't think you need to really invest in the S3. Ideally you would run a buffer before he goes, otherwise his S3 is kind of a wasted potential. His S3 has an insane amount of damage mods, and so if you don't even have an attack buff before he puts up the attack buff for himself, then it's kind of like wasted potential. But that's just my view on it. S1 is amazing, of course. That the attack down is awesome. Would I ever enhance it? I'm not quite sure. Maybe. He's kind of like sitting in my Ken scenario where they're low priority in terms of skill enhancement, but this I had to, like 100% dispel chance is just really good. It feels good, man, when he actually counters Kayron and then removes his immortal buff. That's really cool. That's just for me though. But anyways, these are stats on him. Pretty decent defense, pretty decent health. It's like on the fine line of maybe getting one shot, but if you were running him, if I run him with someone with the Aureus, it'd be really cool. I remember there was one GVG fight I used him with Falconer Cleary and with Crow. Sorry, I just slapped my thigh there for emphasis. I was getting too excited. With Falconer Cleary and with Crow. That's GVG, guys. GVG. And of course, he was my main damage dealer, but Falconer Cleary had Elber's Ritual Sword, he had Elber's Ritual Sword, Crow had Aureus, and it was really fun. Just fun in the sun all day long, man. That was really awesome. His speed is really low because he doesn't really need it if he's built with Counterset and Elber's Ritual Sword. So whoever the enemy... did I just said whatever, whoever? Isn't that a Shakira song? I'm just anyways, whoever they hit on your team, you have a chance to proc your counter. Now if you do have a max enhance as a plus 30 Elber's Ritual Sword, you will be able to get it to a 20% counter chance. With a counter set, it's 20%, so you can even it out. But generally, so this is a tip for people who are facing Charles teams, and maybe this is bad for me because I run Charles on defense in my Guild War. If you're fighting Charles, you ideally want to go attack other people, not himself, because unless they're mega whales or super lucky, they don't have an Elber's Ritual Sword at plus 30. So there's a lower chance to proc his counter when you're hitting the other team. But the thing about Charles is that usually he's stuck in a team comp at a defense team comp where it's kind of risky not taking him out either, because his damage and his dispel is really annoying. So that's why Charles is actually pretty cool in a defense team, especially in a GVG. 4-man really limits the way that they can take you out, especially if you give them like I think currently one of my GVG defense teams is the Dizzy, himself, and Crow. So it's like, who are you gonna hit? Who are you gonna try to kill? Because if you don't kill off Dizzy soon, she's gonna catch up to you. Crow is there always to provoke and then push back and then defense buff, and yeah, anyways, yeah, critical hit chance is not that good, but the critical hit damage is not terrible. I know that there's better Charleses out there, but effectiveness is good enough. So anyways, I'm satisfied with him. I'm not gonna rebuild him. This boot I would say is the highlight for his whole build. Critical hit chance is 13, health is 60, and attack is 20%. I might as well show you guys the substats so you know what kind of to aim for. 17% health, 15% defense. I had a ring like this, a raid ring with I think 16% critical hit damage, but I ended up losing too much health and defense, and I just didn't feel really comfortable about it. To me, in my mind, his shine isn't exactly with his high damage stats. Yes, that will help, but it's mainly to counter, to get a counter, and to land an S1 and then hopefully to proc the S2. That's how I see his damage scaling up. So if you don't have really high health or really high defense, are you gonna be countering anyone? The answer is no, you're not. At least that's my thought process. I just don't think that it's worth it if you're gonna go with really high damage, but then you fail to counter because you're nuked in one shot by like Soumya. So I think some Soumyas would have a tough time nuking out Charles if I had Aureus. But actually no, never mind. I'll take it back. 13,000 HP is not enough to counter Soumya there. This is a really good necklace. No, I'll probably never remove that off him. But the helmet, and I do believe this, yeah, the only thing going for them is actually the effectiveness. But like I said, I don't think he needs speed at all. 127 speed is not going to be too different from his base speed. And yeah, this is the substats there. So I'm going to move on. You could run him with Hilleg, says Andy and Kat. Hilleg Lance would kind of work, but the only thing I don't like about Hilleg Lance on Charles is because, one, we're in the cleave meta, so Elber's Ritual Sword has 4 times to proc, or 3 times to proc, and then the Hilleg Lance, the CR boost, unless it's maxed, is not going to be too big, especially if your Charles has really low speed. So I would definitely say, like, if you let's say if you have a Dizzy, right? Most people run Dizzy now. If you have Dizzy on the team and you run him with Hilleg Lance, his Hilleg Lance is not going to proc. So I would still suggest Elber's Ritual Sword if you don't have it. Obviously, this is, you know, this is banking that, implying that you would have this artifact. If you don't have it, I would say put Charles on the back burner. He's not really great as an Aureus holder. He's not really great as a Hilleg Lance holder. I think Elber's Ritual Sword is his best in slot. I think you have to have it in order to really use him effectively. Otherwise, I don't think he will really shine. You would be like, oh, why don't I just put Tywin, you know, in that tanking spot? Why don't I just put, like, you know, F Maya? I think they would have the pretty much the same kind of effect. This is my Syria right now. 207 speed, and again for my Syria Tambourine combo, I think that she can actually be quicker. So I'm actually gonna start building her to be a bit quicker. I do have a Sasha on her for the kill. If you kill an enemy, it increases the combat readiness. In arena especially, this becomes really important. You can get so many turns, especially with Biken. Again, like I said, I run Biken as like a second turn CR booster. So I go Assyria, Tambourine push up and into Biken. If you know you kill on the S3 or even don't kill on the S3, but if you crit, you get another push up and then Soumya can end someone. But every single move I'm doing, I'm pretty much trying to kill someone. So every time you kill someone, Sasha procs and it's really good. He gets more CR boost. Sometimes I'd be able to lap an enemy if I take out, let's say, their Dizzy with my Biken, and then Soumya take out Ruel. I'm already in another turn before their CR can get an S3 off. So it's really cool. My effectiveness is a bit low, 85%. That's way too low. I swapped out these 2 gear. She used to be better built. I swapped out these 2 gear because I needed them on Dizzy. So I was rush building Dizzy, and I just never took that gear off. And of course, this can use a benefit as well. I do use, of course, Assyria mainly to set up Tambourine, and she does have pretty decent base health if you know Assyria's base stats. And so 8,500 is not terrible, but it's not good at all. She can be like one shot by like Ken pretty much. So right now I'm running the Abyss necklace, which is attack. So this means I'm building her as a damage dealer, not a tank. You can build her pretty tanky, 12,000, 13,000 HP pretty easily, which will help her survivability. But this one is too good to pass up right now, running a broken set, because I need the effectiveness and I wanted that 8 speed. So that's where I'm kind of stuck. I can't really, you know, change anything except her left side gear. So I'm gonna work on that eventually. And because yeah, in this meta, originally I slowed her down as well, because I was thinking, if my Tambourine's so slow anyways, and I can't, you know, someone's gonna cut in front of me, it's gonna be bad. But actually, Assyria is actually really good with high speed, because if you can beat Dizzy, you can hopefully land an S3, so unbuffable and defense break on Dizzy before Dizzy gets her S3. But at this point, if she gets her S3, Tambourine can go and then cleanse the full team. Anyways, So I think I'm gonna build it up really fast. This is my Mola investment. I think Oathkeeper is absolutely the most important one to get. By the time you full lap your cooldown for Oathkeeper, your S3 will be available, because keep in mind that this will grant you an extra turn if you have awakened it. Grants you an extra turn, so this actually is in line with your S2. So every time your S2 is available, your S3 will always be available because you get the dual turns. So I'm not thinking of actually enhancing their S3 whatsoever at this point. This is my Kayron, maxed out S3, and then I don't know if I'm gonna keep investing in his S1, to be honest. I think Kayron defense teams are gonna suffer a bit now with Dizzy in the meta. But he is still really good when you're using him for an attack. This is my Kayron right now. I put a lot of love into him. As you can see, I've gave him 2 pieces of my arena gear. They rolled quite well. Of course, a 65% attack for the T88 epic, but really good critical hit damage in each piece. So that really alleviated my necklace from have to be critical hit damage, but rather I can use a critical hit chance necklace. And I talked about this in my Kayron build video. 12% critical hit damage on it is just amazing for it being a normal necklace. So a gray necklace, that's just incredible. I must have rolled like the best substat possible to be able to get the 12%. Must be like a 6% crit damage. Hold on, wait, what? Toph says, I run Charles on Elbrus with Ruel, J. Man, you guys with your 5-star ML. So this is one thing that I can promise you guys, that in my video here, you're not gonna see a 5-star ML, man. You're not gonna see a 5-star ML, man. That's probably my weakest portion. Like, it's like if I was gonna be, you know, laughed at for anything, it would definitely be my lack of 5-star ML. But hey, some people are saying that, hey man, Jagan, that's your niche, you know? You can make some clickbait titles saying that, I did this, no 5-star ML, or GVG, no 5-star MLs. Feels bad, man. I don't feel proud about that. Anyways, the substats rolled up pretty good for him here, and you can see that his effect resistance is actually really high. I actually want to improve his armor. That's the only piece that I actually want to change out. But his effect resistance is really high just because of these two, and then on the other ones as well. That's really annoying, but actually it's actually pretty good on him. It actually saves him quite a bit. Run a level 26 plus 26 dust level, so not maxed yet, but he could gain a bit more attack. I think up to a 50 attack if I enhance this to plus 30. So maybe one day. Ruby says no ML 5-star, but every limited hero in the game though. Hey man, hey. I have no defense. Never mind. Screw it. This is my Kisei. I actually use her quite a bit. I'm surprised, like sometimes people be like, hey, if you have Luna, like, should you build Kisei? And I'd say yes. My Kisei actually gets some FaceTime in GVG. Very early on, I kind of neglected to use her, but when Wyvern 11 was introduced and before Luna came, I put a lot of investment into Kisei. So you can actually see here, because I thought that she would be my main damage dealer on Wyvern, I ran her with Corinne. But then Luna came like a week after I invested everything into Kisei. Am I salty about it? No. But am I gonna continue to invest in her? No. The reason is because I think she's really strong as is right now with the amount of investment skill enhancement I have, and then just the sheer amount of damage. Now I do realize that she is a thief. She has pretty high base speed, and I'm not really building her like other people would build Kisei. Generally like 150, 160, even 190 speed. I ran into Kisei once thinking that, oh yeah, okay, she'll be about 160 speed, and then bam, like right away she got first turn, and then S3 went into stealth and then nuked out one of my heroes in the process, and I'm like, what the frick? So, you know, definitely, you know, take my builds with a grain of salt. I ran her with this, 8 speed on it, crit chance, and health, of course. She does need a bit of health if you're going to try to sustain it. She is a thief, pretty low health, but I have seen Kisei's built as like a bruiser, which, you know, maximum up to like maybe 10,000 HP though. Actually, would you consider that a bruiser? No, you wouldn't. Probably not. This attack ring went on her just because it had like pretty decent substats on it. The attack and sorry, critical hit chance and critical hit damage. This I need a big improvement, and I think I could easily get one. You know, if I looked hard enough, I'm pretty sure I can easily get one. But that's for something for another day. Everything else is not that special here. This is a pretty good armor though. Critical hit chance and critical hit damage is at 85%. 85% is just enough to get 100% on a fire hero. And if I do have Luna, because my Luna is SSS, haha, I have a pretty decent imprint, so almost 99%. But with the 200, almost 230% critical hit damage, 3,200 attack, she makes a pretty decent nuker. I used to run her with Aliha's knife, but recently I changed her to Dust Devil, just because I'm running Aliha's knife on Sid, but we'll get to that in a bit. Kisei good against ML Cecilia for the barrier? That actually might be true. Yes, because she has increased the barrier damage 70% damage dealt more on someone with a barrier. So I mean, she comes in handy when I'm facing like Angelica, when I'm facing Crow, I guess, if after he uses his S3, but generally I would lose a hero by then. Other people with barrier, but yes, ML Cecilia coming down the line, that would definitely be helpful. This is my Assassin Collie. You must max her S2 if you want to take her seriously. You don't want a 95% trigger chance on her stealth and her attack buff, but then not get it. That's just the worst thing. What goes for her is just because she has the attack buff before anyone goes, so you don't even need to run anyone faster than her. That's really her specialty. Her Soul Burn S3, of course, has a 3 times mod, I think. It's really high. It's 1.5 times, I think, without the Soul Burn. I max enhanced this, of course, because I wanted her to be able to nuke out this crazy speed meta. Running her with a plus 30 Portrait of Saviors, 20% more damage, of course, if this is a limited artifact though, so hopefully, you know, if you're watching this video, you have pulled it. If you're new, you have to run something like Tonfa, so Exorcist Tonfa. S1, I don't think I'm gonna really bother with for the way I use her. I don't think I need to bother with. These are the stats. I've done an Assassin Collie showcase, so I'm not gonna talk about her too much, but except to say that she is really handy in GVG. If I know, you know, there's this team like Ruzid, ML Baal, ML Araminta, my Assassin Collie is not terribly slow, almost 240 speed. Arguably, of course, you want about 245, 250 speed on her innately before even thinking about imprints. But I do usually run her with 1 imprint in GVG and then run her with Dizzy, like I said, my Talcohol Ancient Book user. And then Dizzy's being pretty fast. If I get lucky too, I can, you know, maybe debuff ML Araminta before she gets turned or something like that. But anyways, Assassin Collie now one of my major go-to damage dealers, that's for sure. F Maya, I've done a feature video, so you guys could check that out. This is still +3 only. Arguably, you would want this to be 100 if you want to take out really harsh damage dealers. But generally, you know, with her already really high defense that you can build her with, generally you don't need that defense buff. It's just that if you want to dispel the debuff and ensure the debuff dispel, you really need that 100%. At this point, I just don't see myself doing it though. She does run it with a handy effect resistance imprint though, so if people are using her, that'd be really good. Anyways, you could check out her feature video on her build. This is my kitty Clarissa. I am running her a lot. Actually, I used her in the previous GVG video to actually take out one of these Dizzy, I think it was Dizzy, Kayron, and DN teams. So she actually came in handy, though she died. She actually came in handy. If you don't know Kitty Clarissa, definitely look into her. If you don't have her, you can run someone like Dingo with similar. They actually have the exact same stats, actually exact same base stats. Both 4-star innate, and then both are Virgos. So take the same catalyst, same exact base stats. I actually built Dingo before I built Kitty Clarissa, and then I remember Terror one day he saw me with Kitty Clarissa. He's like, "You have Kitty Clarissa and you didn't build her, but you built Dingo? What the frick?" And he was just like going like, "She's so much better, she's so much better." Like, he didn't know I had Kitty Clarissa because I built Dingo. He just assumed I would be smart enough to build Kitty Clarissa if I had her, and why would I build Dingo? So when he saw me build Dingo, he never even questioned, "Oh, do you have Kitty Clarissa?" Because he would assume that I'm smart enough to be like, "Oh yeah, if he had Kitty Clarissa, he would build her." But Terror was proven wrong in the sense that I'm not smart enough to do that. So self-admission on stream here, but it was pretty funny. I was laughing so hard because he went on for like 15 minutes, and then he extended that for a full week. Every time he came on stream, he's just like, I'm like, "Kitty Clarissa is better, Terror," and he's just like, "You think?" Man, super sarcastic, even though it's just text. Anyways, this is my Kitty Clarissa. I'm not gonna really show her gear. I'm running one effect resistance set. As you can see, I'm not running immunity on her. Where I'm at hovering right now, and even in GVG, I just don't think that I would need the immunity, though I would highly suggest it. I just want her to be pretty decent speed, so I give her a speed set with speed boot. 182 is slow enough to be able to catch the debuffs of most of the heavy debuffers in game right now, but is also fast enough so that they don't lap you again. But I would say maybe 175 would be enough. So maybe one day I'll convert her with a dual effect resist set with immunity if I can get some speed substats within those in that gear, with a speed boot, of course, and I think I can make up for that speed. Strack Gauntlet is absolutely fundamental if you're gonna run a warrior with high resistance. So a Dingo and Kitty Clarissa, of course, have the benefit because they're warriors, so they can use Strack Gauntlet. This is not max, but you get up to a 60%. 60% effect resist if the health is above 50%. If health is below, it becomes 60% if you max it. As you can see, I try to build her as beefy as possible. I kind of scrounged some defense with health substats on it, so she'll be able to survive longer. This one, honestly, I do need an improvement here, but I chose it for the effect resistance. Usually I do run her with someone with Aureus, so she would have a chance to tank a bit longer, or keep her health above 50%. Hold on, let's see here. People are saying that this is the appropriate time to say kawaii. Actually, you know, I'm gonna admit this on this video. I hate Kitty Clarissa. This is the reason why I built the Dingo over Kitty Clarissa. I mean, Tara asked me why. Why did you build Dingo over Kitty Clarissa? I said, well, Dingo was already, you know, a 5-star. And Kitty Clarissa at the time was 4-star, and I'm like, I absolutely hate her because she sounded really bad. Wait, what? What? Wow, Kyle says he fought a 19k Kitty Clarissa yesterday. Was she fast? And was it really high effect resist? I don't know, man. I don't. How's that even possible? That would be that's some elite stuff, man. How can I hate her? Because of her skill description and her voice. Look. If you guys remember that video that Smaugate posted out when she was released, and the guy had to, like, you know, introduce her, and the skill description, like, why is it me? Like, I'm so cute, meow. Like, what the frick, man? Meow. I'm angry. I'm like, I don't want to use these skills. Get away, meow. So you would see me, if I ever talk about Kitty Clarissa, I would never say the skill name. So for something like if I'm talking about Sez, I'm like, oh yeah, you do under 50%, and then you will proc encroach his S2. I'll actually name the name, but for Kitty Clarissa, you will never see me say it. I'll always say S3, S2, S1 because I don't want to say it. Right? Feels bad, man. All right, yeah, she says that. Get away, meow. Oh man, freaking annoying. Anyways, watch a Syria I have, and some people be like, "Hey man, why aren't you building him?" But anyways, this is not a video on me why am I not building heroes, but rather what heroes are built. Anyways, this is my A Cartuja. Didn't put too much love into him. Again, I use him for specific purposes, and this is how you kind of spread out your builds. You have to you can't make them like the best. Otherwise, you're gonna see yourself limited in heroes to use. Unless you're a long-time player or a mega whale or someone that farms 24/7. But this is my A Cartuja right now. You know, get him a pretty decent speed. Durano's only plus 15. I don't have copies of it. Effectiveness is 58. That's really all I need him for. To be able to do his S3, to be able to get more turns as quick as possible, but also be able to survive. So I want people to miss him. I was gonna strip his lifesteal set, but there was one GVG battle I came across where his lifesteal set actually helped him, even though my damage output is really low. It's just like it was him versus like a tank or something like that, and it's just like it just saved him enough. So I'm keeping on the lifesteal set for now until I really need another change. Angelica here, I'm not gonna talk about her too much. Only the S3 is upgraded. Actually, wait, this as well, just the S3. Only the S3 is upgraded. I talked about her in length in the previous video. She's not that great. 130 speed, very, very bad. But again, I use her specifically for mainly dealing with Vildred cleave comps. Now, obviously, Vildred cleave comps now can change a lot with you know, ML Araminta in those teams as well, which is kind of annoying. But I generally use her as for pushing up a damage dealer if I'm facing like multiple cleave turns. So like maybe Celeste with Gerardo, with like C-Dom, and then maybe like Vildred or something. Actually, no, they wouldn't run Gerardo in that. Anyways, I'm talking about just multiple AoE. She works okay. She's decently tanky, but really low speed. This is my Sid. Recently kind of like upgraded his helmet and his armor. So if you haven't seen my Sid build video, I've made a build video, I think coupled with my Luna build video. Right now I'm running Aliha's knife. I do have it at plus 30 right now, 2,500 attack and a 269% crit damage, so it's almost 270. Effectiveness is at 32%. S3 is my most invested skill, and actually I calculated it's about a 35% more damage if I can get a speed buff, if I can max this out and max this out. 35% more damage with a speed buff. That's actually quite a bit. But I think Sid is gonna take a back burner again until I can get like maybe a better boot and a better ring. I think those are the only two things I'm missing right now. And then Lorena's not built, she's not for GVG. And this is my Falcon and Cleary. So if you watch my GVG videos, you know that I use Falcon and Cleary for, like I said when I was talking about Dizzy, as a secure option. So, you know, she has pretty decent speed, not the best, not the highest, but she's there. So like if their Dizzy goes and still blinds her, it doesn't matter because her S3 is not a hit. It doesn't regard you being blind or elemental advantage. You'll always be able to land it if you can proc the effectiveness. So if the effectiveness beats the effect resistance on them, you can always land it. This is what she is right now. I mean, nothing really much to show in terms of the stats here, but Elber's Ritual Sword on her as well. So my second copy, I'm not willing to fuse this into my Charles one because I think her on Elber's Ritual Sword is actually really good as well. Of course, if you know how she works, her skill tree, she can actually pump up the CR randomly on one of your teammates. And if Elber's Ritual goes and she does her S1, she'll be able to do that quite a bit. So it's actually really, really good to have. I would say it's definitely something to think about. I know a lot of people, I would say like 80% run her with Aureus because they're thinking that you won't get that Aureus sponge with the benefit of her being such a really good tank. They're getting kind of like the two for one thing, but I kind of, you know, not really convinced about her using Aureus. But again, to each their own, depends how you use them. I recently built Tywin, really quick build. As you can see, the gear is just like crap, but it's really just the stack speed. It's only for my Sez cleave comp. You may have saw like my Basar was like half built because I did sort of build him, but I kind of retired him so far. Celestial Mercedes, I have never actually used her in GVG, but I do have her built. So maybe one day. She needs, basically her main problem is that she needs like really good setup in order to be really, really good. But I don't have the proper heroes to actually really build her well, in terms of like a team comp. So anyways, that's it. That's been a long one. Wow, this has been an hour. So those are my GVG heroes that are built and that I use, and like how I use them. So you know, some people have been saying that I'm kind of like risking myself here. People will know how to counter my my GVG defense teams and whatnot. But again, I think I'm gonna make these videos maybe once in a while, maybe once in a blue moon, so maybe every 6 months or something like that. Just because, of course, it takes time to build heroes. There's gonna be new heroes. The meta's gonna shift. I'm gonna be changing gear, upgrading gear. So until the next time, hopefully this has been a pretty good kind of like inside, you know, what are Jagan's units like and what do they look like, that kind of thing. So I'm going to end this one here. So if you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.